Second macro level issue, tied very much with this first issue of enforcing rules or not enforcing rules and paying costs either way, was a sense that Europe and the Euro-Atlantic world is besieged by several simultaneous crises. The Greek crisis was definitely bubbling up while we were traveling, and that was very much an issue particularly as we moved further west in our travels. Ukraine tended to diminish, and other crises, starting with the Greek crisis, became more front and center in terms of where Europe should be putting time, attention, and resources. You have the ongoing refugee crisis across the Mediterranean. Certainly that the countries of Southern Europe in particular have been overwhelmed by large numbers of migrants coming from Syria, coming from the destabilized situations in North Africa, and then of course the loss of Libya as a stable entity that blocked a good deal of migration from sub-Saharan Africa, or at least controlled it. That has been removed, and so now you have more migration pressures coming from the heart of Africa as well into Europe. And therefore, as you move geographically in Europe, and you say, well, what is the most important security issue facing Europe? Certainly, in Lithuania, there's concern about a resurgent Russia and the Ukraine crisis. That's not, and we got this impression very much in speaking with people at the Commission and the Council in Brussels, is that that's not, of course, a universally shared view in Europe. That in Spain, Ukraine is far away, is not particularly a problem, Russia's not a threat, and the real threat is migration, is the collapse of the Mediterranean barrier, and those are the real issues. And so somehow you have to find a way to simultaneously address these crises, the Ukraine crisis, the Greek crisis, the migrant crisis across the Mediterranean, and you have to do so in the European context of a consensus format where you need 28 countries to agree. And also then the question of solidarity comes in, which is that the EU has always based itself on the idea that countries share burdens. One of the things that was a subtext to what we were hearing was the sense that some of that solidarity was beginning to fray. We've seen it with the Finns questioning about, well, why should the Greeks continue to get bailout aid if they're not willing to make hard economic decisions? Where should migrants go? And we heard very clearly the further east, which was, well, we can't really absorb any migrants that are coming in from the south. We have to be ready for potential migration flowing out of Ukraine. There could be destabilization there. We really don't want to take people that have come into Greece or Italy and have them be brought to Lithuania or Poland or elsewhere. And so then that raises these questions of solidarity, which is then Spaniards or Italians or Portuguese or Greeks may say, well, why should we be as concerned about the set of issues that you are concerned with? So we definitely got a sense there of some challenges to solidarity within the European Union brought about by these simultaneous crises and the need to prioritize which are the most important ones. Where do the resources go? Where does the attention go? And it's not universally seen that Ukraine is the most important European crisis. Perhaps the Greek crisis will fade to some extent now, but certainly at the time of our trip, there were those who were saying that Greece was more important to the future of Europe than Ukraine was, and that therefore the European Union should be paying more attention to what was happening in Greece.